I guess you can tell we're in Tacoma. The seagulls are squawking. I'm Bob Hasegawa, your state senator for the 11th Legislative District, and I'm here with Don Morgan, who is the president and CEO of the Bank of North Dakota, whom I'm sure you've heard me talk a lot about. And first, Don, I want to thank you so much for your generous donation of your time to just tell us the Bank of North Dakota story. But our viewers haven't heard your story, so please just share it a little bit with us.
Well, let me return that, Senator. It's been great to be invited by you and other folks out here to share what's going on in North Dakota. We know you guys are wrestling with this concept of a public bank, and so our hope is some of our story may help you on your journey, and that's really what this is all about. So, as you mentioned, I'm the CEO of Bank of North Dakota. I've been that for 2 years, but I've been in the community banking space for over 30 years in North Dakota, and we're the only publicly owned, state-owned bank that has survived in the nation, and so I think that uniqueness is something that we like to share, and how that works. And if some of the concepts that we have proven over the last century with Bank of North Dakota, if that can help our friendly neighbor states, help improve their financial toolkit, we're happy to be a part of that.
Thank you for considering us a friendly neighbor state. We
Yeah, definitely.
appreciate that. So you have several, as you called them, vertical policy priorities, and one of them was on partnerships. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, our model is really based on partnerships. I say the unique North Dakota banking model is not just Bank of North Dakota, it's Bank of North Dakota plus the 91 community banks and credit unions that we have in the state. All of our participation loan verticals, our disaster loan programs, they flow through and with those 91 financial institutions. One, I wouldn't have enough staffing on my own to roll out a lot of this stuff, and so a lot of their staff help. But it's really that partnership to facilitate that flow of capital to the strategic best interest of the state, really all based on the concept of behind strong communities or strong community banks. That's the concept we're built on, and that's where partnership comes in, relationships, and that's really what we find incredibly beneficial to our state.
That's awesome. You talked a little bit. We're at a town hall for the viewers' information. We just had a public banking town hall, and I'd like to thank Washingtonians for Public Banking, Marco Rossi, who is the executive director of that organization, and they were able to fundraise to bring Don out here. But one of the things I wanted to mention was there's a huge interest in student loans out here because of the cost of post-secondary education. Can you tell us a little bit about your program there?
Yeah, it's the one vertical that we have that we offer direct to the public, and there's two reasons we did that. One, when the student loan industry changed, there was a gap there where students' needs weren't getting met, and none of our community banks or credit unions wanted to get in that space, get into that vertical. So we stepped in and filled that gap about 15 years ago, and we've been providing student loans to North Dakota kids wherever they want to go to college, or if somebody's coming to North Dakota, going to a North Dakota university, we'll provide that student lending as well. So we really consider ourselves kind of that gap financer. If there's a gap not being met by the private or by another state agency or by some federal program or solution, and it's strategically important to our state, that's where we find ourselves stepping in with a new creative solution. And student loans was one of those.
Thanks, Don. And one other thing what's really intriguing is this, you used the phrase financial marine, and you go charging in when the other banks are having to slow down their business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's one of our core values is we're there when needed. And what we mean by that is we're there for our state when needed. And just last year we had 5 disaster programs. We had 2 major storms, we had a flood, and we had 2 agricultural disaster programs. So we do run to the disaster. We don't run away from it. And we run to it, and we try to find, again, that gap or that need that's not being met by insurance or USDA or SBA or other state agencies. And we'll look to fill that gap with a creative partnership. It might be with our financial institutions, it might be with the Department of Commerce, it might be with the Economic Development Agency. It doesn't matter. It's whatever need is there, we will run to it. So we, tongue-in-cheek, refer to ourselves as the financial Marines.
That's amazing. And one final point, I know it is a for-profit institution. And I know that at one point, I think the Bank of North Dakota had reported something like 17 consecutive years of record profit for the people. I know it's taken you 100 years to get to that point, but can you talk about how the state legislature in North Dakota uses that money, or how much they recapitalize back into the bank? Is it a negotiated process?
Oh, everything's a negotiation. I'm sure you get
Yeah.
that in the legislature. Around half of our net profit per year, we dividend back to the general fund for our legislators to use for other things. And we like that nice balance. That keeps us balanced and able to manage the complexity of a $10 billion bank. To the first part of your question, to the 17 years of, another powerful thing about banking is if you can build your core infrastructure and take the time to do that, at a certain point you reach what's called a scale point. And if you can reach that scale point, all of a sudden your infrastructure, you don't need a lot more cost investment. You can just scale it and you can really make some nice profit, which then leads to the dividends and leads to all the things. So like you said, we've been blessed to have reached that point.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your appointment
you.
as president and CEO of Bank of North Dakota.
Thank
And
you.
again, thank you so much for taking the time to come out here and talk to us about that bank.
Happy to
So,
join you.
again, I'm Bob Hasegawa, your state senator for the 11th Legislative District, and thanks for watching.